Hey guys, so I'm explaining our clutter sociogram. To start off, if you look at the bear, that's Mr. Clutter, and we decided to make him a bear because, he's kind of the man's man, and he built his family up through a foundation, all this kind of stuff. Next to him is Bonnie, and she's a sloth because, she's kind of recluse, but, spiders too symbolic, and we wanted to do something that represented, being awake for that one time of the day where she went out to go see Nancy's performance, and then the rest of the time she was stuck in the house. Nancy Clutter is a horse because she's brave, and she does all these things for her family and community. Yeah. And then Kenyon is a frog because they always said that he was, a different person in his family, and he didn't really fit in with his family, so we wanted to make it he didn't fit in. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of our sociogram. So Nancy and Bobby are connected with hearts because young love, how cute. And Bobby is a mule because he's hardworking. If we go down the sociogram, Susan, Nancy, and Larry Hendricks, the teacher, are all next to each other, and they're connected to one another with books. Through Larry because, he's a teacher, he's very wise, and that's why he's an owl. As for Nancy, Susan, Bobby, and the other Nancy Clutter, they're connected with arrows to resemble their friendship. If we look all the way down here, it's the Hartmans who run the cafe, and they're chipmunks because, they store the food and chipmunks store them in their mouth, and they're really cute. I'm not saying that the Hartmans are cute because we don't know who they are. But they're connected to all of the community members through lines because they are the main source of food. And then Dick and Perry are snakes because, they kind of kill the clutters, right? Ooh, it's a doozy, right? So, they're connected to the clutters with blood drops because, they do kill them. And then one thing that I'd like to point out is that Dick and Nancy are connected through X's because his intentions weren't to kill her. They were to rape her. So, we wanted to make that clear. How his relationship with the rest of the clutters and her were completely different. Kenyon, Nancy, Herb, and Bonnie are all connected through little infinity signs because they're family, and families are supposed to, typically are close together, close-knit, live in the same home, all that kind of stuff. As for Mr. Helms, he's a field mouse because he works on the field of the clutters and the farm of the clutters, and he's hardworking. And so he's connected to Herb with some little hammers because he works for them again. And then there's Bonnie and the other sister. I'm not trying to pronounce her name. Anyway, they're doves because they kind of went away from their family. And they're connected to their family through little dashed lines because they've distanced themselves from the rest of their family and their community as they live in different places and have are married and have children and all that. And then up here is Mr. Ewalt, and he's a turtle because he was previous to Mr. Dewey, and he relays all the information to him. And then Alvin Dewey is a moth because he follows the trail of the murder. Ha ha ha! Okay, anyway, I hope you found that funny because I sure did. So he's connected to Dick and Perry and the clutters through little magnifying glasses because he's trying to figure out what happened there, how they got murdered, all those things. And then we have the cheetahs, which is a crane. Cranes migrate, so they're a type of bird. They migrate, right? Okay, anyway. They're connected to Herb because Herb helps them, and with all the gold tooth scenarios and they're meshing it into the community and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed our sociogram. Have a good day.
Okay. I am explaining our second sociogram that is centered around Dick and Perry. In this sociogram, we chose to have a less visual theme, like with the animals and the clutters. With this sociogram, we generally tried to focus on how Dick and Perry would have seen these people, rather than how they actually were. So, for example, Dick is represented by, we have an axe and a piece of wood, because sort of to represent sort of masculinity, since cutting wood is a very masculine chore, and Perry saw Dick as being very masculine, especially more so than him. And Perry over here is seen as a bookshelf. This is mostly how Perry viewed himself, but also how Dick viewed him, as Perry sort of saw himself as very intellectual. And Perry's flap actually opens up so that we can see into his past. So this fold here represents his childhood. We have a tree representing his family tree. You can see on the branches we have Tex and Barbara, his living family members. And then Perry is the bridge to the side here that is sort of in the process of falling, since he is sort of on his way to death. We also have his brother and mother. Their branches are already on the ground because they're already deceased. To the side, we have a church that is representing the nuns from his childhood. They're sort of ever present in his mind, as there's a source of his trauma, and so and he does sort of blame them for a lot of his issues. So they are sort of present there. Also to the side, we have a compass that is representing Willie J, because why is that? Because Perry sees Willie J as a sort of moral compass for himself, and as a guiding force. All of the characters that are most directly related to Perry are, I've represented them with pieces of paper as collage, rather than drawings, because this is sort of a reference to Perry's many pieces of paper that he finds very significant, like the box full of papers and books and maps and whatnot. That's an allusion to that. We have Donald Cullivan here. He's represented as a bird because birds are symbols of salvation usually. Josephine Meyer is a heart because she was very sympathetic to Perry. Up in the corner we have the detectives. They're sort of watching everything. They aren't directly connected to anyone except for Floyd Wells, but they are sort of surveying pretty much everything on this paper, and that is why they are a magnifying glass with an eye. We also have over here a gallows with the hanging man, and this is representative of the people they met on death row, Andrews, York, and Latham. This is because when they met them on death row, they were essentially already dead, right? There was no sort of hope of life, and so they were essentially already dead. You can see they're connected to Dick and Perry through a line of bones. This is representative of their sort of bond that was created through their mutual sort of march towards death. And then towards Dick, we have his parents and his ex-wife and kids. His parents are represented by a mop because he expects them to sort of clean up after him, especially with the writing bad checks and all of that. And his ex-wife and kids are a pair of scissors because he sort of cuts them off. He doesn't really want anything to do with them. And they're connected to Dick through tree branches, representing his family tree, sort of like in Perry's family tree. Dick and Perry are connected through two clasped hands, representing their deal that they made, and that this is sort of the driving force behind their connection, especially later on in the book. We also have the clutters down here. They are a safe, and that is meant to represent how Dick and Perry saw them as a source of wealth, even if they were very misguided in that, and that there was something to sort of be broken into. They're connected by a line of droplets of blood, much like in the clutter sociogram. And Floyd Wells is represented by a snake because this is how Dick sort of saw him, as being a snake who ratted him out and being untrustworthy. Floyd and Dick are connected by a chain, as well as Willie J. and Perry, because they were bonded through their being in jail. And that is all. Thank you.